The sharp sound of the alarm clock pierces through the silence. My name is Natalie. As I slowly open my eyes, drawn back to consciousness by the alarm, I find myself enveloped in darkness, darkness that remains whether my eyes are open or closed. Even now at 45, I haven't gotten used to waking up in this darkness every morning. I fumble for the bedside table. My fingers touch the alarm clock, accidentally knocking it over. The clock falls to the floor with a small thud. Not again, I sigh quietly. I slowly get out of bed. Feeling the cold floor beneath my feet, I carefully move forward. With my hand against the wall, I search for the doorknob. Once in the hallway, I count my steps, 10, 12, mentally keeping track as I make my way to the bathroom. Standing at the sink, I pick up my toothbrush. I might have squeezed out too much toothpaste, but I decide not to worry about it. I'm supposed to be past getting upset over little things like this. Choosing clothes is still a struggle. Though I remember the layout of my closet, I can't tell which colors go together. I've given up asking my husband Peter, "What color am I wearing today?" Since I started sensing coldness in his responses, I try not to talk to him much. Preparing breakfast in the kitchen is still a series of unfamiliar tasks. I burn my fingertips slightly while putting bread in the toaster. I let out a small ouch, but no one notices. When pouring coffee, it nearly overflows. But this too is just a matter of practice. I'm getting better at it little by little. That's what I tell myself. After finishing breakfast, I sit on the living room sofa. Suddenly, memories of the accident 6 months ago flood my mind. That day, there was a major explosion at Peter's chemical plant. I happened to be passing by the factory and heard cries for help from inside. Without hesitation, I rushed in, making my way through smoke and flames until I found a fallen employee. Just as I tried to help them out, there was another explosion. I felt a sharp pain in my eyes, and then, everything was enveloped in darkness. At first, Peter nursed me devotedly after I lost my sight. But as time passed, his attitude gradually grew colder. I began to sense irritation behind his kind words. My mother-in-law Linda treated me like a nuisance from the start. She would indirectly blame me, saying things like, "You've ruined Peter's life." Each time, my heart would ache, but I couldn't find the courage to argue back. Still, I desperately try to look forward. Every day, I study Braille diligently, struggling to understand the meaning of the raised dots beneath my fingers. I'm also getting better at using the white cane, little by little. Though the anxiety of walking hasn't completely disappeared, I feel more confident than before. But there's nothing I can do about the loneliness that sometimes overtakes me. Even when I'm with family, I feel completely alone. At such times, I take deep breaths to calm myself. Surely, someday. I tell myself. That night, as I was resting on the living room sofa as usual, I happened to overhear my husband and mother-in-law's voices from the kitchen. "She's a burden now that she's blind. Let's dispose of her." Linda's cold voice cuts through my heart like a knife. "You're right. I've reached my limit. The insurance preparations are ready." Peter's voice. I can't believe my ears. Insurance? Do they mean? I scream internally. Suddenly gripped by fear, my body freezes. My heart races and cold sweat runs down my back. My hands shake and my breathing becomes shallow. Is this a dream? A bad joke? My mind is in chaos. Trying to maintain my composure, I quietly return to my room. Lying in bed, I desperately think about what to do tomorrow. Should I confide in someone? But who can I trust? Should I run away? But where to? In the darkness, I spent a long night struggling with questions that had no answers. Around sunrise, I awoke in an unnaturally drowsy state. My head feels fuzzy and my thoughts are sluggish. This is clearly different from usual. As I sniff the air, I detect a faint sweet smell. The thought, drugs, crosses my mind. Fragments of last night's conversation return. Fear wells up inside me, but my body won't move as I want it to. I try to sit up, but my limbs feel heavy as lead. As panic rises within me, I feel someone lifting me. I try to cry out, but no sound comes from my throat. My tongue feels dry and won't move in my mouth. The next moment, I'm pushed into a narrow space. I feel cold metal pressing against my back. Engine vibrations travel through my body. Is this a car trunk? Terror envelopes my entire body. My heart pounds violently and breathing becomes difficult. In the darkness, my sense of time becomes numb. The car keeps driving, and I'm tossed around in fear and anxiety. Even when I try to change position, the narrow space prevents much movement. My arms and legs begin to go numb. How much time has passed? Minutes? Hours? A sudden break throws my body forward. My head hits something hard, sending pain shooting through it. I hear the trunk opening. Fresh air flows in. Light streams in, dazzling my eyes. Someone's hands grab my arms and roughly drag me out. I'm thrown onto a cold concrete floor. Sharp pain shoots through my knees and elbows. When I lift my face, I feel the salty sea air on my skin. A briny smell fills my nostrils. Listening carefully, I can hear waves in the distance. Could this be near the harbor? I focus on the sounds around me. Metal clanging against metal, wind whistling through, seagulls crying somewhere in the distance. Is this an abandoned factory? I desperately try to grasp my situation. The texture of the floor, the movement of air, the echo of sounds. I sharpen all my senses. Suddenly, my arms are grabbed and I'm forced into a chair. Rope winds around my body, binding me tightly. I wince in pain. Wrists, ankles, chest. I'm tied up one after another. Stop. I try to shout, but my mouth is taped shut, silencing my voice. Even swallowing becomes difficult. Then I hear familiar voices. Peter and my mother-in-law Linda. My heart pounds violently at their conversation. My body begins to tremble slightly. I've contacted the insurance company. We can start the procedures for Natalie's accidental death right away. Linda's cold voice pierces my heart like an ice blade. Yes, the high-value life insurance contract went through without any problems. All that's left is to create the accident. Peter's voice has a calculating tone. It's hard to believe this is the voice of my husband of 20 years. The asset liquidation is progressing too. Are the preparations for fleeing overseas complete? There's an excitement in my mother-in-law's voice. Yes, just a bit more. In a few days, we can leave this country. No one will care about Natalie anymore. Each of their words cuts deep into my heart. Why? How could they? We're family. Sadness and anger at being betrayed swirl within me. 20 years of memories flash through my mind like a film reel. Our wedding day, buying our first house, celebrating Peter's birthday. Was it all a lie? Their footsteps fade away, followed by the sound of a door closing. A heavy metallic sound, then the click of a lock. Then silence falls. I desperately try to escape. I twist my body, trying to loosen the ropes by rubbing against them. Sweat pours down like a waterfall, its salt stinging my eyes. I continue struggling for hours, enduring the pain of ropes cutting into my skin. My fingertips go numb and my shoulders scream in protest. Finally, the rope around my left wrist loosens slightly. I can move my fingertips a little. A glimmer of hope appears. Not yet, just a little more. I tell myself, putting in more effort. Though tears flow from the pain, I can't give up. After a long time, my left hand is finally free. Without even taking a moment to feel relieved, I move on to the next task. I try to untie the rope on my right hand, but the knot is tight. My fingers slip with blood, and I can't apply force as I want. I need something sharp. In the darkness, I feel around my surroundings. The sensation of small stones and gravel scattered on the floor. Then my fingers touch something. Is this a metal fragment? I carefully pick it up, checking its sharpness. I press it against the rope on my right hand. Little by little, the sound of the rope being cut rings out like a melody of hope. Finally, both hands are free. I quickly untie the remaining ropes. As blood circulation returns, pins and needles shoot through my body. When I try to stand, I feel dizzy. Perhaps from the effects of the drugs, my body sways. I hold on to the chair and take deep breaths repeatedly. I focus my concentration and begin searching for an exit. Step by step in the darkness, using sound as my guide. A click as I step on something. Carefully checking the floor, I find glass fragments scattered about. Sharp pain strikes the bottom of my foot. Must be careful. I can hear drops of blood falling. Moving further, I hear metal creaking above my head. Reaching up, I touch rusty steel beams. I nearly cut my finger on a sharp edge. This place is really dangerous. I try to maintain my composure while steadying my breathing. Slowly but surely, I move forward. Using the occasional sound of waves as a guide, I walk toward what I hope is an exit. Each time I stumble and nearly fall, my heart feels like it might jump out of my chest. If they come back, that fear pushes me forward. I will definitely escape. That determination drives my feet forward. After successfully escaping from the factory, I dragged my trembling legs forward, exhausted and terrified. My throat is parched, and my empty stomach growls. The morning sun begins to rise, gradually brightening my surroundings. Yet my world remains in darkness. How long have I walked? I begin to hear the sound of cars in the distance. I must be getting closer to town. That thought gives a small boost of energy to my exhausted body. Finally, I begin to hear people's voices and footsteps. Help me! I cry out. But no one approaches. Please, I've been kidnapped. I desperately plead, but all I receive are cold words in return. Must be another drug addict. Should we call the police? Better not get involved. Such words fly around me. No one believes me. No one helps me. Despair washes over me. My legs wobble, and I feel like I might collapse at any moment. That's when I heard a kind voice. Are you all right? It was a man's voice, probably in his mid-50s. I'm Alex. Is there anything I can help you with? Through tears, I began explaining my situation. Alex listened quietly. Let's calm down first. There's a cafe nearby. Please tell me your story there. At the cafe, Alex offered me water and a light meal. After moistening my throat and eating a little, I gradually began to regain my composure. I believe your story. Alex's words made me breathe a sigh of relief. Actually, I'm a private investigator. I'm interested in your story, and I think I can help. Without hesitation, I told him everything that had happened. The accident at the chemical plant, losing my sight, the conspiracy between my husband and mother-in-law. As I spoke, I sensed Alex's reaction changing slightly. For some reason, you seem familiar to me, Alex said quietly. I can't explain why. From that day on, Alex became like a guardian to me. He took me to a safe place and provided everything I needed. Then he began investigating the case. Natalie, we should contact your family and friends, Alex said. I hesitated. But I can't trust my husband and mother-in-law. I want to contact my friend Serena, but I don't want to put her in danger. Alex showed understanding. I see. Let's assess the situation first. I'll conduct a legal investigation on my end. Several days passed, and Alex began working energetically. He made anonymous reports to the insurance company and started investigating the movements in my bank accounts. I cooperated by providing information from my memories. As the investigation progressed, the truth gradually came to light. Peter and Linda had taken out a large life insurance policy in my name. They had been trying to secretly sell my assets. And they were planning to use those funds to flee overseas. Why? I kept asking. 20 years of marriage. The time we spent together. Was it all a lie? Alex continued his investigation quietly. However, as he investigated, he began to feel something strange himself. His own memories, especially from childhood, seemed oddly vague. One day, Alex quietly spoke to me. I've started investigating my own past too. Somehow, I feel like there's a connection with you. I felt a strange familiarity in Alex's words. Indeed, as I spent time with him, I began to feel a sibling-like closeness. We might be As I started to speak, Alex quietly nodded. It's possible. But we need more evidence. Let me investigate further. We looked at each other. Though I couldn't see, I could feel Alex's warmth. Let's uncover the truth together, I nodded strongly at Alex's words. Then, about 2 weeks after the incident, an unexpected development occurred. Alex's phone rang, and he exclaimed in surprise. Natalie, it's from your friend Serena. She's been putting up missing person posters of you all over town. I caught my breath. Gratitude welled up inside me. Let's meet her, I said with determination. I want to stop running. Alex agreed and began preparing for the meeting with Serena. My heart wavered between expectation and anxiety before this new development. A few days after reuniting with Serena, Alex's investigation results began to emerge one after another. My heart wasn't prepared for the truth. Natalie, I understand everything now, Alex's voice carried weight. Peter and your mother-in-law Linda had planned to fake your accidental death to collect the insurance money. Those words shook my world. My husband of 20 years. My mother-in-law who was supposed to have accepted me as family. The two of them had tried to exchange my life for money. That's not all, Alex continued. They were trying to secretly sell your assets too. And they were preparing to flee overseas with those funds. Various emotions swirled within me. The sadness of betrayal. Anger towards those I had trusted. And above all, disappointment in myself. Why hadn't I noticed? Why hadn't I even suspected? Why? My voice trembled. Why would they do this to me? Alex quietly took my hand. Natalie, this isn't your fault. What they did is unforgivable. Those words helped me regain some strength. That's right, I'm the victim here. I can't let them control my life anymore. Alex, what should I do now? We have enough evidence. Let's report this to the authorities. That same day, all the evidence was submitted to the FBI. Hearing that the investigation had begun brought some relief, but also increased my anxiety. Meanwhile, Alex had also begun exploring his own roots. Natalie, I was adopted, he confessed one day. And somehow, I think there's a connection with you. My heart raced at those words. The strange familiarity I felt with Alex, could it be because we're blood relatives? I've decided to take a DNA test, Alex said. It will take some time for the results. While waiting, we focused on gathering evidence. However, Peter and my mother-in-law had also begun to move. Natalie, they've started moving, Alex said one day in a tense voice. They seem to be preparing to fake your accidental death. And overseas fund transfers have been confirmed. It was a race against time. Though the FBI investigation was progressing, Peter and the others were moving faster. In the midst of this, Alex's DNA test results arrived. His hands trembled as he opened the envelope. Natalie. Alex's voice shook. We really are siblings. At that moment, something collapsed within me. Joy. Surprise. Or relief. Various emotions washed over me. But how? We don't know the details yet. But it seems we were taken in by different families as babies. A brother. I had a brother. Suddenly, a new light seemed to shine into what I had thought was a lonely life. The FBI investigation also made significant progress. Peter's company's fraudulent activities came to light one after another, and my mother-in-law's criminal history emerged. Their crimes went far beyond mere insurance fraud. During this time, small changes began appearing in my body. Alex. I called out one morning with a trembling voice. Light. I can see light. Though faint, I could definitely perceive light. A slight brightness had penetrated the world that had been completely dark. Natalie, that's wonderful. Alex exclaimed with joy. However, hope and anxiety mingled in my heart. My sight might return. But that also meant I would have to face realities I hadn't wanted to see. Alex, I'm scared. I confessed honestly. If I can see everything again, I wonder if I can handle it. Alex gently embraced my shoulders. It's okay, Natalie. Whatever happens, I'm here with you. We'll get through this together. I nodded deeply at those words. That's right, I'm not alone anymore. Even in darkness, even if painful realities await, we can face them together. And then, the fateful day approached. The FBI investigation entered its final stage, and the arrest of Peter and my mother-in-law was imminent. The day that would greatly change our lives was drawing near. On the day the FBI investigation entered its final stage, my brother Alex and I were hiding in a secure hotel room. Since learning the DNA test results, our bond had grown even stronger. Natalie, it's going to be all right. I'll protect my sister. Alex's voice made me nod slightly. My brother's presence was my only comfort in this tension. Suddenly, there was a violent knocking at the door. Open up. Natalie, I know you're in there. Peter's angry shout echoed in the hallway. My body froze. Alex gripped my hand tightly. Stay quiet, he whispered. But the next moment, we heard the door burst open violently. They had a key. Finally found you, Peter's voice echoed in the room. I could hear Linda's breathing behind him. Peter, stop. I cried out. Shut up. His voice came closer. Everything's ruined because of you. Why couldn't you just die quietly? Suddenly, a strong grip seized my arm. It was Peter. Let go. Take your hands off my sister. Alex's angry voice. Sounds of struggle. Then, another voice rang out from the hallway. FBI. Don't move. After a moment of silence, the room erupted into chaos. Damn it. Peter cursed. His arm wrapped around my neck. Don't move. I'll take her hostage. I could barely breathe from fear. But then, I heard Alex's calm voice. Peter, stop this. Natalie is my sister. If you hurt her, you'll never see daylight again. Those words made Peter's body loosen for a moment. The FBI seized that opportunity to subdue him. Are you all right? A female agent's voice. Why, yes. I answered with a shaking voice. After the chaos settled, I had to face Peter. Why? My voice trembled. After 20 years together, why? Peter's answer was cold. Money, Natalie. With your insurance money and assets, I could be free. You were always just in the way. Those words constricted my heart. But at the same time, I felt a strange sense of liberation. This was the truth. I no longer needed to be bound by illusions. Linda, on the other hand, surprisingly admitted her guilt straightforwardly. I was always jealous, she began tearfully. Natalie, you took everything from my son. I just wanted to take it back. Her confession stirred complex emotions within me. Hatred, pity, and even a bit of understanding. After the arrests, Alex held me tightly. Natalie, it's okay now. From now on, I'll protect my sister. At those words, I shed tears of relief. The emptiness I had felt for years was being filled by my brother's presence. In the weeks that followed, I regularly visited an ophthalmologist. One day, I received surprising news from the doctor. Natalie, your vision is gradually recovering. While we can't be certain if it will return completely, significant improvement is expected. Those words filled me with both hope and anxiety. Being able to see again. It was joyful, but also frightening. Then came the day of the trial. My body trembled as I stood in court. But when I took the witness stand, I strangely found my composure. I was betrayed by my husband Peter and mother-in-law Linda. I began speaking clearly. They tried to take my life and steal my assets. I concluded with these words, but through this experience, I found my long-lost brother. And I discovered my own strength. I am no longer a victim. Heavy sentences were handed down to Peter and Linda. As we left the courthouse, Alex took my hand. It's over, Natalie. I nodded. Yes, it's over. And it's a new beginning. Outside, warm sunlight caressed my cheeks. Though I could only see vaguely, I could definitely feel the light. Surely my life ahead would gradually brighten too, just like this light. Believing this, I began walking with my brother. Taking the first step toward a new life. The facts revealed in court were more cruel than imagined. Peter and my mother-in-law Linda weren't just after my insurance money. Their plan was more complex and despicable. Peter testified on the witness stand with a trembling voice. At first, I just wanted the insurance money. But Linda, she came up with a bolder plan. That plan involved making me disappear and faking my death. Then, after inheriting all my assets, they would flee overseas. Abandoning me at the abandoned factory was just the first step. I didn't intend to kill Natalie, Peter pleaded tearfully. I just wanted to get rid of her. I thought everything would work out if she was gone. Linda's testimony was even more shocking. Natalie took everything from my son. I just wanted to get my son back. As I listened to their words, I felt 20 years of marriage crumbling within me. Yet, strangely, I also felt a sense of liberation. I no longer needed to be bound by illusions. This was the truth. On the final day of the trial, Peter spoke his last words. Natalie, I'm truly sorry. I know betraying you is unforgivable. But please, let me at least apologize. His words stirred complex emotions within me. I cannot forgive him. But now I can end this. It's time to start a new life. After the verdict, I devoted myself to vision rehabilitation every day. Little by little, but surely, I could feel the world becoming clearer. What started as just distinguishing light and shadow has now progressed to recognizing shapes and colors. Natalie, let's do our best today too. Encouraged by Alex's voice, I head to the rehabilitation room. Meeting him again was the greatest fortune in the midst of this hardship. Regaining my lost brother and building new bonds day by day, it gradually heals the pain of the past. Hey, Alex, I brought up one day during a rehabilitation break. I'm thinking of starting a support organization. Alex seemed surprised but quickly smiled. That's a wonderful idea. Your experience could help many people. So I established a support organization called Path of Light. I focused on supporting visually impaired people and helping them reintegrate into society. I wanted to use my experience to give hope to others in similar situations. Soon after starting the activities, my story began attracting media attention. I appeared on TV programs and gave newspaper interviews. Though nervous at first, I gradually gained confidence as I realized my words were reaching many people's hearts. Your story gave me courage. Such words from people warmed my heart. The fact that my painful experience could become someone else's hope brought me joy beyond imagination. Then, 6 months after starting rehabilitation, a miracle happened. The doctor told me, "Your vision has improved significantly." That day, I could clearly see Alex's face for the first time. His eyes, nose, mouth, everything was gentler and stronger than I had imagined. Alex. I touched his face while crying. Finally. I can finally see you. Alex embraced me with tears in his eyes. Welcome back, Natalie. You've worked so hard. After this moving experience, I decided to write a book about my story. The title, From Darkness to Light, A Story of Betrayal and Rebirth. Though writing wasn't easy, Alex was always there supporting me. In the book, I wrote that I couldn't forgive Peter and my mother-in-law's actions. However, I also acknowledged that because of them, I reunited with my lost brother. Life sometimes guides us in unexpected ways. The book became a bestseller immediately after publication and was read by many people. Readers' letters contained words like these. Your courage gave me strength to face forward. It made me reconsider the importance of family. I was despairing of life, but now I want to try again. Seeing such responses made me strongly feel the meaning of sharing my experience. A year has passed since then. Path of Light has grown into a nationwide nonprofit organization. We support not just visually impaired people, but anyone facing difficulties. Alex is my greatest understanding and supporter. We spend much time together, as if making up for lost time. I feel the importance of family bonds every day. Today too, while feeling the sunlight streaming through the office window, I savor my happiness. A bright future spreads before me, one I couldn't have imagined when I was in darkness. True, the wounds of the past haven't completely healed. Sometimes I'm still haunted by nightmares. But each time, I remember, I'm not alone anymore. Life can take unexpected turns. But beyond those challenges, new light might be waiting. If my story can be someone's hope. With such thoughts, I continue walking the path of light today.